to Religion, Economics, and Politics, where we inform, enrich, and empower. And I promise you guys, every week I was going to try to bring on, guests that would add to you guys and bless you spiritually, bless you financially, with knowledge, and just whatever we can do to help build the kingdom, the body of Christ. So today I got, good friend of mine, Darius West. I don't know how many titles this man has. So, I mean, he's a choreographer. The guy, he writes. I mean, he produces. He's got a documentary about Christian hip hop. But like I said, I'll do the man in injustice. So I want to make sure that you hear directly from his mouth, man. Darius, go ahead and tell the people who you are, man. And thank you again for being able to join the podcast, Religion, Economic, and Politics.
Man, great to be here, man. Appreciate you reaching out to me and just say, hey, man, come on the podcast. I've seen a few posts about it, but I haven't really followed it. But I was like, I'm just very, very intrigued about the conversation, discussion here. And as Morris has said, that I have several titles, but basically I'm just about advancing the kingdom in every area of my life, with every gift and talent and skill that God's been able to bless me with. And so just trying to live my life to the fullest in terms of my potential, and just tapping into those things that God has revealed about myself, and just going 100% with all those things that he's blessed me with.
Absolutely, man. And so like I alluded to before, you and I, man, we go way back to Higher Dimensions, and which is where we actually first met. Man, that had to be mid 80s.
Yeah, mid 80s.
Yeah. So, but so a few things have changed since then. We both got the grays and the hair is gone and everything.
Yeah.
But the heart is still the same. So the mission is still the same. Of course. I left and went off and joined the military, man, and you kept going. And I kind of want to talk about some of the things that you did, man, during that time. So, so you went on the road with Carmen and Kirk Franklin and Tone. So can you kind of talk about how that all started?
Yeah, man. It was, 92, I believe, when I started attending Oral Roberts University, and we were still ministering at that time. But remember, we did the talent show at ORU where we did that song called "They Won't Let Me Dance," because it was a rule on campus, well-known rule, and even unspoken rule that you can't dance. There's no type of dancing on the ORU campus. Yeah, that rule has since been abolished. So I think we started something back then. But yeah, so that's my last memory from what I call our time when I was in college, of actually us doing something together. That was ORU. That was probably 92, 93, because I was a freshman. Yeah. So I remember that, and just being very not rebellious in terms of a rebellious student, but just a rebel in terms of the rules, especially with dance, because, dance and rapping was our forte. That's what we lived to do, We lived, breathed, and so I kind of brought that type of culture to the campus. And so everybody always knew me as no longer as Manuelo's little brother, but that's Darius West from BMT. You know what I'm saying? Destiny manifested
BMT, man.
Yeah,
it brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, so then of course, like you said, you went on to college, and there was a time at that moment I was like, man, so what I'm supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? I can't remember if I continued to do stuff or not, but that there was also that transition that was happening where I was over Steps of Praise, because that started when I was a senior in high school. Well, it started, senior. I started getting more involved in doing choreography as a senior in high school, and bringing that to the body of Christ. So you're talking about, this is 90, 91, 92. So that, goes on to 92, of course, and I'm in ORU, we do the talent show thing, but I'm still at that time really tapping into really a new season, a new season in my life. And so dancing took over, and and I was known for rapping at the time. So because we started Steps of Praise in 92, 93, and got more involved, and we started performing or ministering at higher dimensions quite a bit. Pastor Carlton, he always loved anything the youth could bring to the table. So, with the rap, all the stuff that
Shout out
we
to
did.
Pastor Carlton, Bishop Carlton
Pearson. Yeah, I talk to him every once in a while. Well, last time we went to Tulsa, I took my family to his house. We had a great time. He made us gumbo and peach cobbler, and
Oh man, I've seen
same.
some of his videos, man, where he cooks, man.
Oh yeah,
looks like he could throw down in the kitchen.
Oh, he threw down. We was there last a year ago this November, but so we doing Steps of Praise, and of course it was during the time that we were performing. You and I were ministering at Higher Dimensions doing Christmas. The production, I can't remember what it was called. We had those hammer pans that we had.
Oh
made.
man,
I remember who made
that. Black and white, man. I remember.
Yeah, the black and white. Somebody got footage of that. They got footage of that somewhere. But that was the night that Carmen approached us. I even have it in my journal because I've been keeping journals since I was 15. I've been keeping journals all my life. So yeah, and I remember that moment that when he approached us, like, hey, I love what you guys are doing, and then we started going to Carmen's house, teaching them that, I'm talking about stuff that I read in my journal from years ago. But yeah, I was like, man, some of this stuff I forgot. But yeah,
I'm glad you're bringing it up because no one would believe me if I told you. But, you're hearing it right here from Darius West.
And I got receipts because it's all in my journals. From 1990 into the present day, I can continue to keep journals. But so that's where it started, really, with the relationship with Carmen, and then he would take us to his house, we'd teach him dance moves, and at one point it was just the carpet, it was his living room carpet, but then he had a dance floor built in to his living room. I don't know if you remember that, but it was a wooden dance floor.
Yeah, I remember.
And he had a CD jukebox, one of the first ones to be, and so now it became our place to where we actually taught him the rules like the Running Man or the Cabbage Patch, anything that was really popular in the 90s. Yeah. We was teaching Carmen in his home. Yeah. And
this is during the Addicted to Jesus album.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember he picked me up from school a couple of times from Jinx. He would pick me up from my mom's house. I remember we ate pizza a couple of times. So, at a young age, 16, then we was in the Resurrection rap video, of course, and then we got highlighted in that. But that's where the relationship with Carmen began to bud for both of us. And of course, like I said, you went on to the military, so I stayed in contact with Carmen because they stayed in contact with me even when I was in college, and so it was 92, 93. I can't remember when this music video was done. Maybe it was 94 when I was a sophomore, or the summer of 94. This is when they had the auditions for Who's in the House, because we had did Resurrection rap. This is basically the higher the youth. You know what I'm saying? We're out in there. Then Addicted to Jesus, like you said, you and I was hanging out. We was there on set with DC Talk and Carmen, and then hanging out. I remember that moment. And but this was the first. Who's in the House was the very first music video that they were actually paying dancers to be in. So you had to audition. You had to audition. So Carmen told me, hey man, we have an audition for Who's in the House, and and I want you to go try out. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta go. I never had to try out for anything.
And Carmen's asking you to go try out. Oh
yeah. But I was a little nervous because I'm like, well, I never had to try out. Audition. I've never taken a dance class. I never, was a part of any big type of production to where, in terms of where I got paid, and this is an actual gig, so to speak. So I remember in Tulsa, I think it was somewhere in Bixby or maybe Broken Arrow dance studio, and the choreographer was there from LA. So, it's an LA choreographer. Wow. So
that's big.
You know what I'm saying? You got about 100 people out there, auditioning for this music video that was only going to take 4 dancers. And so Carmen didn't tell, he just told me to show up, I showed up, didn't know what to expect, then they do, this is my first experience. So they did like groups at a time, maybe 10 or 15 people, maybe, whatever at a time, learn this choreography. All right, bam. She does her counts. And so I was used to counts because I was doing counts with, steps of praise and just teaching choreography at church, just based off of, raw talent. But now, it was all about skill at this level. So, I didn't have a whole lot of skill, but I had the raw talent. So, and there's a difference. So, when you guys listen, there's a difference between raw talent and skill. And so, and the Black churches, we love raw talent. You don't have to be skilled a lot of times. So
we'll work with that.
We work with that. But David had skilled. He had skilled musicians. I'm just gotta let you know. So it's a difference. So a skill comes with training. A skill comes with repetition. A skill comes with being around people who will help you perfect what your gift is. So, there's a lot of people with raw talent who make it in the room because your gift, will make room for you, but don't stay because their skill level is lacking. Yeah. So I went into a room where I had raw talent. My skill level wasn't where it needed to be, and I knew that, because I had skilled dancers around me, people who had taken ballet and jazz since I was 5 years old.
Oh wow!
I had started dancing when I was 15, so I was, behind the 8 ball. And plus, I was a brother, so I had to do over it. So just long story short, I did the audition, and I was one of the 4 people chosen. Out of close to 100 dancers that came out, and the choreographer who was from LA, who ended up being the choreographer for the tour as well. She pulled me aside, and she says, "You know why I chose you?" I was like, "Man, I got no idea," because I could not get those moves because they were doing like, they weren't doing hip hop like we used to. They was doing like, jazz and just a fusion of jazz and hip hop. And
I'd imagine that you didn't grow up, doing some of those moves out of
I didn't. None of those, man. Shift ball chain and all that kind of stuff, and you're just like, but I try to keep up. I just, I was watching everybody else just, in the mirror and doing my thing. But she pulled me aside. She said, "You know why I chose you?" I said, "Man, I ain't got no idea because I was jacking up."
Straight up.
I ain't gonna lie, I was jacking up. You know what I'm saying? But she said something to me that I tell people all the time. It's like, she says, I don't worry about. She says, "I'm not concerned about the dance moves. You'll get those." She said, "But I love your smile, your presence, your energy." She said, "That's what moves the crowd, and that's why I chose you." Because she said the choreography, that's gonna come. You'll get that, but your stage presence, the way you engaged and you was engaged and you just lit up the room with your presence. That's why I chose you. And I was like, "Oh snap!" Wow. So I learned something at that moment that although my skill level was nowhere near the people that was around me, I stood out because it was something about me that was different. She didn't know it was my relationship with God and just been having a passion, because I've been doing, brother,
that was an anointing. That was an anointing on you, man.
She had no idea that I've been traveling, doing youth ministry for years and years, and always in front of people and being able to engage. So she didn't know the history behind us, being DMT and traveling and being Christian hip hop and rapping on stage. And so all that came out in that audition. Wow. So that's what she saw. And Carmen was there, once they were doing the full round, the last few rounds of cuts. And of course I made it. And he said, "Hey man, you know what? I never told her about you. He said, but I knew you would stand out." And so that was a huge thing because, one, it was auditions. 2, it was getting paid. I'm a college student, so I need money. And but just the recognition it gave me among my peers, they're like, "Dang, Darius is in like the Who's in the House music video. This is not like Resurrection Rap where everybody just come and just show up. This is like you're being, premiered, or you're being highlighted in, Who's in the House is like the biggest, Christian rap, Christian rap or just Christian song at the time, and Who's in the House was like a big major, a music video production, big ups to Carmen, rest in heaven, and also Stephen Yates, who's still with us, man. God bless you. Love you, still friends today.
Pioneers, man.
Pioneers, man, Stephen Yates. And so, yeah, man. And just from there, that same year, 94, I was still, went back to college, sophomore at ORU. I was planning to transfer to Morehouse because I was an engineer major at the time, and I always wanted to go to a HBCU. I was always, I grew up in the South. My mom went to John C. Smith University. My uncle, he went to a HBCU. So I just wanted to, I wanted to go to a black college. So I was looking at transferring to Morehouse my second part of my sophomore year. Then Carmen Ministries called me in the latter part of second semester, second quarter, I believe, and said, "Hey, we're planning to go on tour, and we've been talking about it for a while since since the audition for the Who's in the House, but it looks like it's going to happen, and can you go?" I'm like, man, I'm about to be
big decision.
It's a big decision because I got two obstacles, not obstacles, but two things I have to think about. Okay, what is my mama gonna say?
I know Miss West.
When I went to college, I was 17. So at this point, I was 18, about to turn 19. So I was old enough to make my own decisions. So I didn't really need my mom's permission, but I really felt I needed her blessing. You know what I'm saying? And that was important to me. So, and then I was looking at, I also want to go to Morehouse. You know what I'm saying? This is a great opportunity for me, for the major that I'm in. But at the same time, I'm thinking about, what are my gifts and talents and what can I, so that's that Christmas holiday season, my mom and myself, my mom and my brother, Manuelo, we were planning to go to Charlotte for, the holiday season. And this is after Thanksgiving, so it's Christmas, New Year's. And my mom didn't know they called me and talked to me, and I was kind of keeping it on the wraps. And so I decided to stay back. I said, no, you Mom, you and Wello, you guys can go. I'm going to stay back because I want to fast and pray about this decision, and I told my mom, hey, this is what's happening. I told her, I said, hey, this is what's happening. I got a decision to make, and I know you probably not, you're not cool with it, but I gotta see God on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm at this point, I'm about to be, about to turn 19. I really got to know what God wants for me and not what everybody wants for me. So, so I did that. Man, I spent, my Christmas holiday season just fasting and praying. I was just couple buildings across from the Butler. So if I needed something to eat, I just went to their house. You get some encouragement or some nourishment, or just when I wasn't fasting or whatever, just some support and prayer or whatever. But then my mom came back. Manuelo came back earlier. He's like, man, I had to get back to Tulsa, man. He was bored. But you just missed Tulsa. My mom came back later. I think around 2nd or 3rd of January. And she said, in her own way, how Black mamas are. They don't really like give you a straight answer. They just like kind of give you the answer without saying what the answer is. She was like, this is like 94. This is around when Sister Act 2 was out. Lauryn Hill was the star that, became the star of it. And she said, when I was in Charlotte, I saw this movie like 5 times. I'm just giving her voice. And I already knew what she was saying. She saw herself, without telling me, I already knew what she was saying. She saw herself as Lauryn Hill's mom and me as Lauryn Hill. And because at that point in the movie, later in the movie, Lauryn Hill's mom says, I'm not going to keep you from what you need to do. And that's basically, what my mom said. And she said, go ahead and do it. You just make sure you finish school. I was like, all right, I'm calling Common Ministries now. And we started rehearsing the end of February, the end of January of 95. We started rehearsing right at that New Year, and and the rest is history. Yeah.
Wow, man. So if God can use a donkey, he can use a movie to speak to people as well. So
Yeah,
man,
people, man, don't this, the number one and number two things that influences culture is music and movies. And that's why I really, really believe that's one of the vehicles God is going to continue to use in these last days is media, technology. And that's why, I'm glad I'm in the midst of it, because I see what God is doing, even with, artists like Kanye West, and the light God's been using through him, through his music, people who have never really listened to Christian hip hop are now listening to Christian hip hop because of Kanye. DJ Khaled, of course, who released the God Did, but the song that's really making moves is Use This Gospel remix, featuring Kanye and Eminem. And you hear them speaking about Christ and, he's a savior. Right. And it's like, it's number one on Christian charts right now. Christian Billboard charts.
And I know a lot of people fight that, and a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say about it, but we don't get to choose who God will use to glorify him.
Yeah.
And I think as long as it leads back to lifting him up, I said, God used a donkey.
Yeah, because here's the reality, man. We have believers who write and sing secular music, and we support them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you have someone who's known for secular mainstream music who ends up doing something glorifying God, why not support that? When you'll support someone that Denzel Washington's a Christian, but his movies ain't Christian. But you love him though.
No. Oh, because of his most famous lines. Definitely not Christian.
It ain't Christian. But he's a believer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Why can't God? Here's the thing. People do not have access to people's personal life. We think we do because of social media, but we don't. We don't know what God is speaking to these individuals in their dreams, what God is saying to them through people that know them, and a lot of these people are on, a lot of times they're on contractual agreements where they have to continue to finish, 2 or 3 albums they have to release and do that. Then say, okay, I have to do this. I've already signed this contract. I'm going to get sued unless God works a miracle and get out of it. But
I think Chris Tucker was a great example of that.
Yes. The fact of the matter is we don't know the ins and outs of what's happening in people's lives. That's why, even when Kanye came out with Jesus the King, I believe, the first album, people are, oh, why Kanye? It's not going to last. And I told people, watch. Watch. He still has the same answer to things he's still struggling with, but his profession of Christ is sure. The dude did an altar call, on at his last concert in LA last year. He did an altar call to millions of people around the world. And he's just telling people, who else is doing that in Christian music, doing a concert like that, live concert? God uses the dumb things to confound the wise. So we think we know God's will, but we don't really know God's will. You don't know God's will. You think you do, but you don't. Because he does.
Well, I think about Darius when you and I were starting out, through rap music. I mean, we were ministering to kids, and we had altar calls. It didn't look right, or to some who are maybe traditionalists or used to seeing it done a certain way.
Yep.
But I can tell you today, I mean, our hearts were, purely motivated by the love of Christ.
Yes.
We want to see people saved. Although some people judge us and say, that's secular. That's not of God. How can you do this? How can you do that? That's worldly. That's secular.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so with this new film that's coming out, might drop the culture of Christian hip hop.
Please plug that. Mic drop.
Might drop the culture of Christian hip hop. We were looking to have a release next month of October. But things have shifted, after my conversation with Black Lava and what's happening with Warner. Just to say, people always say, "Oh, how's your film coming out?" Like, well, we got one of the biggest distribution companies in the world. It's called Warner. So if you ever heard of Warner, then it's all good. So I don't even really say too much about that.
Yeah.
But they have a tremendous promotional and marketing campaign behind this film because of what's happening. When in 2020, when it blew up, in terms of the trailer and it get going global, that I'm trying to tell people, man, it had a lot to do with Kanye coming out with their Jesus is King. And then when the trailer came out from Mic Drop, it just kind of just went global. There are people, man, I can't even say names, but there are people in our corner right now that we didn't have 2-3 years ago. That this movie, when we release it, it's going to be released in 2023. I started promotion and marketing at the industry level next month in Nashville at the Dove Awards. And so and the backing that we have, not just from, because Warner Music Group is not a Christian distribution company. Warner is not Christian. They don't even have a Christian division of distribution. Everything they do is mainstream, and I don't think people understand that for a Christian hip hop documentary, it can't be cheesy for Warner to want to distribute it. This is not a CCM documentary. This is not something that's just so
you have to come correct.
You got to come correct. It has to look urban. It has to feel urban. It has to feel like this ain't for a Christian audience. This is for everybody. For Warner to ink that distribution deal, and so this is huge. That's why for us, it hasn't been a rush for us. It's like when you do it, it has to be done right. So I trust Warner. Their track record tells it all. They
And man, I want to thank you for doing Mic Drop because, it really pays tribute and homage and recognizes the sacrifices that, those early pioneers like SFC, all these guys, Freedom of Soul, all these guys did, man. I can go on there, PID. Oh man. How many times did I wear that?
Wiley, peace.
Out? Steve Wiley, yes. Mike Peace, real man. Oh man, I used to wear that out. Those guys were way ahead of their time, but had it not been for them, having the vision and being obedient to God, and just, sacrifice. I mean, because to be honest with you, there wasn't a whole lot of money in it back.
There you go.
Rich. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I had a disruption there. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, it wasn't like these guys are doing it to get rich. These guys were doing it because God had placed that call on their lives and they were being obedient. And because of their sacrifices, I mean, look where we're at today. And I would tell anybody, get ready to see more of this. And the things that we're used to seeing or your traditions. Well, let me tell you this, God doesn't really care about your traditions. So when God is ready to move and when he's ready to do something, it's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to happen, man. And so I just want to thank you for Mic Drop. Anything else, projects that you could tell us about? Because I know some things you can't talk about, but anything what should we expect next from Darius West? I know you got Mic Drop coming out in 2023. What else should we look for?
Man, without saying too much, we just moved here to San Diego from Los Angeles. San Diego has a tremendous, or a really big, tremendous theater company community, and so we started our own theater company. It's right now it's not a nonprofit; it's an LLC, because of what we're trying to do, and without saying too much, because I want to give too much ideas out there for people to take our ideas, but we're gonna we have it's called West Creative Arts and Media, and so it's a theatrical production company that within the next year or two will branch off and do a nonprofit to teach young people how to do the things we do from a theatrical production media standpoint. So that's something to look out for in the next 2 to 3 years, something that we're doing. We've partnered with one of the larger companies here in San Diego called San Diego Musical Theater. So we're in partnership with them. I've been here 9 months or so. So once I came to San Diego, I hit the ground running. And so we partnered with them. The owners of San Diego Musical Theater had myself, my wife, and our kids over to their house. The really, really nice house, wealthy people. And just, we just had a good time. We ate, just conversated. It wasn't even business. It was just like, just really getting to know one another. Everybody's out there, the owners, they're like in their 60s. We all outside playing football and in their big old grass lawn and stuff. So,
right.
But, just is, to me, what I've learned over the course of my life is all about relationships. Me touring with Carmen became, because we as young guys, we established a relationship with him, which led me to on to greater things. The opportunity to tour with Kirk Franklin came through a relationship I had with Adrian Ewins and Ladidra Ewins, and so then with Tone, the same as relationships with Adrian and Deidre and other people that was in the industry. Or not just in the industry, but just in ministry at the time, because Tone was from San Diego, but he would come through to the Summer Slams, 1 to 2, I believe, we had in Texas, and that's how I got to meet him through Adrian and Deidre, and so everything that I've been able to do, even with the relationship with the owners of San Diego Musical Theater, came by just being present in the right meeting or right environment here in San Diego, and just meeting the daughter of the owners, and then her and my wife, connected. Then, next thing I know, I'm going by the place. I'm going by, to the location, checking it out. And then it's like, they call me and say, hey, we want you guys to come over to our house. It's just like, you just, when people see that you're genuine, and, of course, we know we're different when we have the Holy Spirit in us, doors open for us that won't open for someone else who is trying to do the same thing in the same, and for us, it happens in less amount of time, and so, wow. It's, although Mic Drop has been a tremendous journey, since 2015, we began this journey. What's been happening over the last 2 or 3 years has just been like, only God, this is God's timing. So we've realized over the course of this journey and this, process, when we started off, I was looking at when I started off in 2017, I had like 11 interviews, right now we got 21 in the film.
Wow.
So it's like, wow. if we were released in 2017, it wouldn't be nowhere near what it is today. And even what people saw last year in Tulsa in November, there's been 6 interviews added since then. So it's just like,
wow. So since I saw it in Nashville,
like 2 years ago,
it's
a totally different film, bro.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You'd be like, okay. What? Yeah. Wow. You saw the first version. We've had what we did in Nashville is different than what we did in Dallas. What the people saw in Dallas was different what they saw in Tulsa, and now the one that's actually coming out is different from the one they saw in Tulsa. And so,
okay, all right. So I got to be there in Nashville.
Yeah.
When you release it. Okay, I got to be there.
Yeah. It's going to be released, 2023. It'll be streaming, of course, Warner. But okay. I was just on the phone this morning with Mookie, and we're talking about once we get the street date or release date in 2023, which is normally a Tuesday, and with media, we're planning to do one night only premiere in either Atlanta or something like that the night before it comes out. So it'll be a Monday night.
Okay.
The night before it comes out, once we have the official street date from Warner, which will be sometime early 2023, February or something like that. But yeah, we're looking forward to that, because next year, the plan is next year, all of next year, this thing is going to be booming everywhere. And so wow. It won't even be a question who has the best music documentary. It'll be like, everybody will like Mic Drop. From Christian right. to mainstream. I'm just telling you, bro, the plan that's behind this, the muscles that's behind this, support behind this, y'all gonna be like, what in the world? I'm telling you, man, it's the stage has been set for this film to come out. I'm just telling you, it's only by the hand of God. That's why I tell people, don't be knocking Kanye. I'm trying to tell you, he helped set up a stage for what was about to happen, and it's not by coincidence. And people will see it, once the film comes out, who they know the director is, or whatever. But it won't be by coincidence that the director of this film is Darius West. And people are gonna like, wait, hold up, is he akin to Kanye West? That question's gonna come up, and it's gonna create a whole nother conversation. And I'm just telling you, bro, this has all been set up by God the way it is, and the plan that they have in place, man. I'm telling you, watch.
So God has ordered your footsteps, man, from the very start. So, I mean, when you first started out, Kanye West, as far as the music and the entertainment scene, didn't even exist.
Nope.
So now you have this West connection. That's nobody but God. I was, when you were talking about there's not going to be another music documentary better. I think about this little jam we used to do called "No One Can Do It Better." And man, it's just like that's prophetic, and you're so right, brother. But man, I want to thank you for stopping by and just talking to us today. Just blessing us, man, with your presence and just kind of giving us some insight on how things got started, how things are progressing, and then what's to come. So I have no doubt in my mind, man, that God is just going to take you to heights that you probably could never imagine. So I imagine He's giving you a hint though, as to where He's going to take you. So. Man, like I said, however I can support you, however like I said, our audience can support you. Just quickly, if you can give us your social media handles and how we can look up Darius West, your productions, and just kind of keep up with you.
Yeah, you want to follow what's happening, updates on Mic Drop. You can follow us on Instagram, of course. Just mostly where I post stuff for Mic Drop is Mic Drop the Movie. So at Mic Drop the Movie. So that's basically it. Also, the website is the same name, micdropthemovie.com. So any updates and things are going on. Also, I'll post things on Facebook as well on my personal page. So you can just look up Darius West and my profile on Facebook, and that's connected also to the Mic Drop Facebook page as well. So I post what I post on my personal for Mic Drop. I'll post on there as well as Instagram. So those are the three main ways you can follow me. Also on Instagram, Darius West. But yeah, just, and I'm just letting you guys know what I'm updating today, basically what's happening and with the release and what's going on. So that's going to be posted as well today. So, yeah.
Man, so Darius West, AKA Slice D.
Slice D, baby.
Slice D. Love you like a brother, man. Thank you for stopping in. And to the audience out there, I just want to say, make sure you get behind this brother, support Mic Drop. Some amazing things. I know God has put some things in my heart and just kind of telling me and showing me some things about Darius. You're going to hear about this brother for a long time, and a mighty move of God is actually going to come through a lot of the work that God has ordained him to do. So, but as always, stay vigilant, be encouraged. Thank you.
Amen. God bless.